Hope you are all good. I think you can hear me well. If you do, please make a react, please. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. This is Osama from Fanvil support team, and I'm excited to walk you through Fanvil's powerful integration with the i6X series and the i5OX indoor stations, and our IP phones as well. A solution that brings security, communication, and convenience into an ecosystem. So let's start. Here is a quick overview of what we will cover. We have the installation procedures for the i6X and i50X devices, their key features and capabilities, and how these devices operate cohesively in both peer-to-peer and SIP-based environments. Let's begin with the i6X installation. These Doorphones are built for versatility and reliability, perfect for secure access environments. Here we will start with the hardware specifications and how we can connect these Doorphones. So this diagram highlights the full range of interfaces on the i6X series. We have the power input support. The Doorphone supports 12-volt DC and power over Ethernet PoE. We have the waveguide port interface, and we have short in and short out ports to connect external devices like exit buttons and electrical locks. We have audio outputs for external speakers or paging systems, and RS485 for future expansions or customization. You have all of these, if these ports and their specifications here, or the specification of each port. First, let's see the short-in ports that are used for connecting accessories like an exit button or door sensor alarms. So this helps enhance the control and monitoring of physical access. We have here the diagram on how to connect these devices or how to connect these ports. I have for the exit button, we have JND and input. Also for like electrical locks, we have sorry, for the sensor alarms, we have, for example, these. We can connect it in the other inputs, and the JNT will be connected to port 4 minus port of the alarms. Here we have also the line out interface that allows connection to external active speakers or public other systems, extending the audio reach and maintaining correct polarity during the connection is crucial for optimal audio performance. We have here examples on how to connect these devices. So here for the left, here for the left, or the right here, for the right, red and green channels, audio cables should be connected like this. And then we can connect it to the active speaker via line in ports. And we have also, you can connect the RCA audio cables like this. On the unit, we have also the short out interface. And there is the diagram. So connecting an electric lock via the short out interface enables remote door in locking. So this setup is vital for secure and convenient access control, allowing authorized personnel to control entry points remotely. Or you can also control it locally. We have here the diagram on how to connect these devices. We have the positive pole, negative pole, and we need an electric lock power supply to power the electric lock. And this acts as an interrupter. Once it is activated, the electric lock will be opened. Uh, so the i6X series offers flexible power options. We have the 12-volt DC adapter that ensures correct polarity, and we need to ensure correct polarity to prevent any damage for the unit. And we have also the power over Ethernet that simplifies installation by delivering power and data over a single cable. And we can reduce the need for additional wiring. Here you can see that the positive pole and negative pole. The positive pole has these stripes, the white stripes on it, and the negative pole is all the way black. Next, I'll be on the hardware, and after seeing the hardware specification, the i6X boasts the advanced functionalities like network configurations, support for both DHCP and static IP setups. We have also the communication protocols. So the i6X is compatible with SIP for IP integration and peer-to-peer for direct IP communication. For the access control, we have the unit integrates with the RFID NFC readers for secure entry. For the specification we will see first the IP address and how to get the IP address. So to hear the IP address announced by voice, you can just press and hold the speed dial button for 3 seconds, then press it again. The unit will announce its IP address. So it's simple, it's very simple to get the IP address of the i6 phones, i6 door phones. For You can also get the IP address from the LCD. So you can just enter the code on the menu for this is applied only for i66 and i67, and you can just enter the code pound star 107 on the dial pad to access the network configuration. And the default password is 123456. Then you can configure or check the network status, language, and configure the display, and also the users, check the users, reboot the unit, or factory reset the unit from the LCD menu. Alternatively, you can use the Fanvil device manager tool uh, that allows to scan local network, and it uses also the SIP ports 5060 to scan the units on your network. You can just scan the local network and detect connected devices, and the tool displays the IP addresses and the streamlined device management, especially in large installations. You can check on it the version of the unit, the model name, and the IP address, MAC address, etc. To configure the i6 devices via its web interface, you need to ensure that your computer is on the same subnet as the device. This setup allows seamless access to the device web GUI and the management portal for configuration. I think most of you is familiar with the changing of the IP. This is an example on the Windows and how to change the IP address of your PC to be on the same network as the unit, so you can access to its web GUI and configure it from there. Once on the same network, you can open a web browser and enter the IP address of the unit, then use the default password, which is admin for both username and password. You can change it afterwards. Then you can access comprehensive settings for detailed configuration on the unit. So it's very simple to access the web GUI and configure the device from the web GUI. And to switch between the DHCP and static IP mode, you can just press and hold the speed dial button for 3 seconds, then press the button 3 more times, and the device toggles its IP mode, allowing flexibility based on network requirements. So once to change the IP, you can just press for 3 seconds, then wait for the device to beep, then press the same DSS key 3 times in a row. Other methods for i6X and i67 models can be achieved via LCD menu. As mentioned before, you can just press the #107 in sequence to enter the settings. And once you have entered the settings, you can go to network, Ethernet, connection mode, and change the connection mode. You can change between DHCP and static IP. Alternatively, on the web GUI, you can navigate once entered to the web GUI, you can navigate to network, basic, and you go to the IPv4 settings section. Then select it. Then you can switch between static IP, GCP, PP, OE. Then you need to save and apply the settings to ensure consistent network communication. Let's see the basic call. And we have for the i6X series supports versatile communication methods. So we have the peer-to-peer call, P2P, direct IP dialing without a SIP server, and we have SIP protocol, uh, integration with SIP servers for broader VoIP capabilities. This flexibility allows tailored communication setups based on organization needs. So it depends on your situation. You can choose between the P2P call or to work with a SIP server. Or for P2P calls, you need first to assign a static IP address for both devices to ensure that there is no issues with the communication after reboot or after DHCP release by changing the IP address of the phones. And then you need to configure each device to recognize the other's IP address, enabling direct communication without intermediary servers. So here an example, we have the PoE switch. You can just use a PoE switch to power the units, then assign static IP addresses for both units to have a fluent communication between them. So you don't need a SIP server here. As mentioned before, you need to set the static IP address to ensure devices can locate each other reliably, and set unique static IPs within the same subnet for all devices. So this setup is important for stable P2P communications, eliminating relays or dynamic IP assignment, as mentioned before, for when using DHCP. Here to set up the one-touch dialing for on the unit. You can configure a DSS at the direct station selection. Okay, on the i6 with the target IP address on the Doorphone and as well as on the phone. This setup enables instant communication with a single button press. So once you press the button, the call is initiated from each of the units. And this enhances also operational efficiency on your Fanvil device. And to configure this, first for the P2P calls, you need to configure the following settings. First, you need to navigate to function keys settings and assign a DSS key as a memory key with the target IP. Set it as a speed dial to be able to call the unit. So here you set the IP address of the phone that will receive the call on the from the i6, here in example i6-4. We have the type memory key, we have the value as the IP address, the subtypes should be speed dial, and you select the line SIP on, depends if you are using this, if you are using the second or the first line, and the media should be default, or you can change it between the audio or video mode. After that, you need to disable strict UI match in SIP settings to ensure compatibility and to ensure that the device will not reject the calls from the other devices. And you need also to enable the dial without registered. This is because the unit in P2P calls is not registered and may not allow the dialing without registered. So the phone will display that the line 1 as invalid or is not configured if you don't enable this dial without registered. To test this, you need just to press the DSS key of the IP phone to make a call via one touch. And similarly on the IP phone, you need to configure the same settings as dial without registered to be able to dial the door phone and disable the strict UI match as well and set the DSS key to dial the i6X door phone. It's the same thing also on the IP phone. So let's see the configuration for the SIP when using the SIP server. So in environments, utilizing the SIP server devices register extensions, enabling advanced features. So this allows centralized management. Like all calls are routed through the SIP servers, allowing for features like call forwarding, voicemail, and call recording, etc. And this also ensures stability for you can easily add or remove devices without significant reconfiguration, and also ensures interoperability, and you will have options to call remotely the unit. And to configure this or to register the i6-4, for example, in this case the i6-4 phone with the SIP server, you can just access the web GUI by entering its IP address, as mentioned before, and you need to navigate to SIP settings and go to line SIP, then enter the SIP server information and the extension information. You have the username, display name, authentication and authentication password. You have the SIP server address and proxy server if it is used. Then you need to save and apply settings, and you need to monitor the registration status here in the line status to ensure that successful connection is established. After that, you can enhance the user convenience by setting up a one-touch calling on the i6-4, for example, here. And you need to configure the DSS key in the web interface by assigning a key to a specific SIP extension or phone number. Here, for example, we have the we have set the value to the extension of the IP phone and subtype for speed dial, and we selected the line as a SIP one since it is the one configured for with the SIP server. You can select change between video and audio as a default media type. And similarly, you need to configure one-touch dialing on an IP phone to call the i6 the Doorphone. You can access the IP phone web interface and log in using the device IP address. Set up the speed dial key by assigning a speed dial or this key to the i6X SIP extension. Then you can label it or just leave it like this and provide a clear label so the user of the phone can know which door phone is calling. For that, just test with calling the unit by pressing the this key, and this setup allows for quick communication for the IP phones to the door phone, enhancing operational efficiency. So here, as mentioned, you can just press the dial key and the call will be initiated to the IP phone. Here, to customize dialing behavior on the i6X series, you can use the dial plan option. So in the web interface, you can navigate to phone settings, dial plan. And you can define patterns by setting the patterns for specific dialing scenarios such as intercom calls or external lines. You can also set timeout intervals to determine the duration of the device waits before initiating a call after dialing. And the proper configuration ensures a seamless user experience and reduces dialing errors. So we have finished with the i6X series. Next up, the i50X indoor stations. These are used for receiving calls and monitoring door stations, and these devices serve as central hubs for managing communication and security within a building. So let's go over the setup. First, let's see the hardware specifications. Like for it supports, for example, the i5OX indoor stations supports flexible power operations like 12-volt DC adapter and power over Ethernet. Here we have the positive pole as mentioned before. We have the negative pole. You can connect it to the DC as mentioned here. The DB interface. The DB interface on the i5OX indoor station is typically used for connecting external triggers such as doorbell buttons, allowing a resident or office personnel to receive calls from a secondary entrance. Have custom control buttons or sensors, enabling enhanced automation or integrations. So always match the polarity of the DB wiring to avoid short circuits or misoperations. Alarm inputs interface connection diagram. So the i5OX also supports alarm input for security purposes. So here, for example, radar sensor or PIR motion detector can be wired using these ports, the NC, the normally closed, and COM terminals. When motion is detected, it can trigger alerts on the indoor station or assay-based notification. This turns the indoor station into a mini security panel. So it's great for smart offices or residents. The short circuit output interface connection diagram. So like the i6X, the i5OX station supports controlling electric locks via short circuits output. And here you see how it is connected. So connect the output terminals to an electric strike or magnetic lock. And when a call is answered, the user can trigger the in-lock signal via the touch interface or soft key or via DTMF. So make sure the power supply for the lock matches the device specs to prevent overload of the device. Now we ended with the wireless section, so let's check the key functions, which includes the two-way audio and video calls, door and lock controls, intercom calling to other indoor units or security desks. We have also the SIP and P2P call. So for these models, checking the IP address is very simple. You can, from the idle screen, you can just go to menu, phone settings, and the IP mode is GCP by default, but it's clearly displayed. This is helpful for quick network diagnostics during installations. Oh, four. So checking the IP address we have mentioned before, you can just go and check it on the menu and select status to check the device's IP address. And to change the IP mode, you can enter the phone settings, advanced, and the default password should be 123456. Then navigate to Ethernet, IPv4 settings. Then you can switch between DHCP or static. And the static IPA is recommended for P2P setups, while the DHCP suites for dynamic environments with a router or DHCP server. So for the network, to change IP, as mentioned here, we have the DHCP changing. We have the vendor identifier. You can change also the vendor identifier on to check it on your router to name your device what you need to name it. And all the i5OX devices also support configuration via their web interface. You need just to type the IP address on the browser and enter the web GUI of the device. Then go to Network, Basics, and IPv4 settings. Then you can change between static IP and DHCP. Whether P2P or SIP-based, the call setup is very simple. So P2P device communicates using the direct IP dialing, and we have, as mentioned, low latency, and you don't need a SIP server on your setup. And for SIP, all devices are registered to the same SIP server, and it is ideal for centralized login, call forwarding, and remote control. And both are supported by the indoor stations. Let's see the P2P call. And similar to the configuration of i6 series, to enable the P2P on the Doorphone, you need to configure the DSSK to call the indoor station IP phones. And on the indoor station, ensure that enable strict UI match is disabled under SIP global settings. This allows accepting direct calls from devices that don't strictly follow SIP user agent rules, and especially useful in cross-brand setup as well. So here is the configuration. You can see it on the presentation. And to register, to use the SIP registration and to register the indoor station, you need just to access the web GUI, the line, and SIP under SIP settings. You need to input the SIP server IP port, extension number, and its password, and add also the proxy server if it is used. Then confirm that the line status shows as registered after applying the settings. So this enables communication through the PBX or hosted SIP platforms. Here receiving call via SIP server. So in this case, we have Doorphone registered as extension 1001. We have the SIP server. We have the indoor station as 100. When a visitor presses the button, the Doorphone dials 1000 via SIP server. So the user answers or rejects the call using touchscreen soft keys, as mentioned here on this diagram. You also get benefits like the call logs, the missed call alerts, forwarding if answered, etc. To call a central disk, so making a call via function key. On the indoor station, you can configure this key 1 as memory key. The subtype should be speed dial, and the value should be the SIP extension of control center. Example 1002, as we will see on the next slide. So here you can check the soft key list after it is configured. And here how we can configure the memory key. So it's the same settings as the i6 series. So, making a call via dial pad. Users can dial manually. Just you can tap the dial key here in the station, then enter the extension or full SIP number or the IP address of the device that you want to call, and then tap the dial icon to initiate the call. So this mode is intuitive and ideal for setups with multiple endpoints or when calling numbers beyond one touch presets. Oh, we think that we have reached the end of our presentation. Thank you all for your time and